get this out of the way first, okay? Thermal catalytic cracking is using catalysts so you require less heat and pressure to thermally crack something. Say, paraffin wax, you manage to vaporize that heavy shit down into... It's already going to partially pyrolyze if you're not careful when you vaporize it, because it's so huge, so dense when you apply the heat and whatnot to vaporize it. You're going to, and to keep it a vapor under pressure, it might partially break down under pyrolysis before you can crack it. That's okay, it just makes it easier to crack it. And you run it through a stationary channel that you're going to have your cracking reaction happen in, but there's the metals in the tubing in that area contain catalysts in the alloying as alloying agents to the metal in question. That, my good people, is the key to do exactly that. Whereas thermal cracking, you're just thermally cracking down the shit. Now, it can involve catalyst, but it's not going to be... Thermal catalytic cracking, in this case, is just more emphasis on the catalyst in the reaction area. Now, this technology's been around since 1887, but the original technology was patented in 1877, so it's actually before that. You can easily say by rule of thumb. Might not have been, it might have been shortly before, but it's sometime before when the invention was found out. They went and patented it. I forgot what country it was. Might have been the States, I don't know. Yeah, the sun's awful bright, isn't it? So what happened? The issue was the catalyst they used was a pelletized aluminum chloride. That shit at the time was expensive. Although if it was a free banking plant without central banking at all back then, hey, it would have actually been cheaper. How much cheaper, I can't tell you. It would still you still would not have been able to make quite as much as you needed. You would have gotten closer. How closer it would be to making enough to do ideal amounts of cracking at the time? I couldn't tell you, but it would have actually been cheaper. It wouldn't have been as cost prohibitive as it was. It would still be to some extent, but whatever. But basically, the invention of the inventing of other catalysts and discovering new ways to make new catalysts made the process cheaper. What happens was, when you take a vapor of something you want to crack, you apply the heat and pressure to one reactor. The reactor's going to have pelletized all the way down to powdered catalyst. The pellets could be as big as you wanted, or down to just coarse enough to be above the coarse powdered grind of an espresso coffee, right? Powdered. Or it could be like coffee, like normal coffee ground sold in bags without the dust and consistency as a pellet. Or it could be down to finely powdered shit. The deal is the vapors will pass through that, and as it moves through that, it will cause the catalyst to flow in and out and through it like it was a fluid. And that's what they would call a fluidized bed. That's where the term fluid, the first word fluid in the term fluid catalytic cracking comes from. Sorry, didn't mean to stutter at that moment, but yeah, that's where the fluid part comes in, because it's a fluidized bed. The fluidized bed allows the catalyst to flow in and out and through and in between the molecules of vapors. React them through, in between and around the various molecules to crack them down. So it'll flow like a fluid. And then there's a separate column which is below it. It would feed into, called a regenerator, which would regenerate the catalysts and renew them, and then send them back in there using a fluid-like motion. Send it back in there, in the reactor. Again, this is why the first word fluid in the term fluid catalytic cracking is a thing. And with the right catalyst, you can crack all kind of different shit. You can crack things down like paraffin waxes and asphalt. As long as you get, you hydrotreat the sulfur and other kind of metal particles out, you vaporize that shit. There's a lot of heat and pressure already doing that. So you definitely want to make a catalyst able to react to that shit and crack it down. You can go as far as to crack it down to synthetic natural gas with enough nickel in as a catalytic element. Or say you could do with different mineral salts so that contain nickel as part of the salt structure. They would be catalysts to make synthetic natural gas. That's actually how they make synthetic natural gas to begin with. When they hydrogenate unsaturated gas like benzene to make methane, they used it as a nickel-based catalyst. The process of hydrogenation was when it was figured out in the 1890s. So, I'm giving you implications here for onboard application, should you have the means to figure out how to do it more affordably, more cost efficient. Now here in the States, that shit ain't gonna be too fucking welcome. I'm telling you that because I know. Politicians, on one aspect, they're gonna work with that. They're not gonna be willing to work with that because they're gonna lose a lot of control over the roads through the taxation system. They're gonna take a justifiable fucking on that. Again, taxation without informed written consent is fucking theft. It would be a subscription-derived tax bracket instead. It'd be more freed up than the original tax system we had in the States. But then again, ideal as that is, I don't see that happening. Not until we fight at the local level and splinter off and make those local movements cascade into more movements. But that's another story. Anyways, thank you for listening about my explanation about the difference between thermal catalytic cracking and fluid catalytic cracking. Take care, everyone. See you around.